Hello, this is Miles. Welcome back to Xraised, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. I'm glad you're joining us today, guys, because we're about to crack open a conversation that hits home for so many high performers out there. First, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, delivering results, staying reliable, being the go to person, and yet recognition feels just a bit too slow? Well, you're not alone. And today's guest, he's the coach executives call when they're done waiting and ready to lead visibly, strategically, and with impact. He's a former C suite powerhouse who's led global teams across 100 countries in CEO, CFO, and boardroom roles. And now, he helps the next gen of high impact leaders break through the noise, ditch outdated beliefs, and finally own their leadership brand. He's the founder of Leading Insights, a results driven executive coaching firm. He's a CPA, a PCC certified coach, and a leadership whisperer for directors, VPs, and C suite hopefuls. Please welcome the man who's turning quiet excellence into powerful visibility and the CEO and executive coach at Leading Insights, Azhar Syed. Hi,
Miles.
Azhar. How are you?
Hello, Miles. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for such a wonderful introduction. I'm
You're
so happy to be here.
We're happy to have you here. And, this conversation touches on something a lot of brilliant professionals wrestle with visibility, or more specifically, how to get noticed without becoming someone you're not. And Azar, I know this idea is very personal to you and to many of the leaders you coach. So let's dive right in and start with a story of a capable, reliable executive who waited longer for recognition, which is so familiar to many high performers. So, what inspired you to tackle this challenge head on?
Miles, honestly, I have lived this myself. And over now several years that I've been coaching, I see that is happening over and over again with brilliant, hardworking executives that they had to wait a bit longer than they deserve. And it's really frustrating. You will see this quiet brilliance everywhere. Talented professionals who deliver, but had to wait longer than others because they are not being noticed. The
Mhm.
delay is not just frustrating for them, but it's a negative impact on the organization. They are not getting the full uh, outcome of the talent that they have existing within the organization. And I think this is a leadership responsibility on those executives as well as people around them to recognize them and move them forward quick enough.
Right. And that hits a nerve in the best way, Azar. I mean, I think most of us were taught to just work hard and that results speak for themselves. But what you're saying is results don't always echo unless we learn how to amplify them. And you also reference something called the PI model quite a bit in your coaching. It's not a dessert, definitely, but it does serve up a reality check. So, can you walk us through it and share how it shifted your perspective on advancement?
Well, I come across this PI model many years back. In fact, I was in middle management at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and HR at that time was conducting workshops to helping employees to understand that it is their responsibility to take care of their career. And I was intrigued by that PI model. PI, P stand for performance,
Mm-hmm.
I for image, E for exposure. And I worked on that, and that really helped me to move a little bit faster. I wished I have paid more attention to that. But what this model is all about is that performance is not enough. Performance uh, help you to enter into the workforce, being recognized to certain extent. But for you to get promotion and be fully recognized, you need to work on your image, that
Ah,
how people perceive you, what is your brand, and also on your exposure, that who are the people who know you and how well you know them, so that when new things comes up, they have you in their mind, that this is Miles who can do this job, this is the Miles project, she is really good at problem solving, or she's really very good at conflict management. So
mhm.
how are you creating your image, and who are the people know you makes a huge difference. And
Yes.
this is the PI model that I talked about in my article as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so performance, image, and exposure. The first time I heard that exposure counts more than performance, I think my inner workaholic gasp. But when you explain it like that, Azar, it really reframes visibility as a leadership skill, not self promotion. And speaking of reframing, the percentages in the pie model 10% performance, 30% image, and 60% exposure they can be a little shocking. So how should high performers interpret those numbers without thinking they need to start hosting office talent shows?
That is a very, very good question.
Thanks.
The study shows that decision makers, when they are thinking about that whether this person should be promoted or not, the importance on the performance is only 10%, 30% was on the exposure, and 60%, 30% is on image, and 60% is on exposure. And that means that they are thinking about that whether you are really good at problem solving, you are good at conflict management, you are good at working cross border. Do they know about those qualities? What are you bringing on the table? So they give importance to what they think about you and whether these people know you. So
Mm-hmm.
these percentages relate to that decision making. Sometimes people confuse it and they think, well, maybe I should be spending only 10% of my time on performance and 30% time on image and 60% time on exposure. No, that is not the case. For anyone to be successful, of course, they need to perform and deliver outstanding performance. And that may require 40 hours a week, may require 50 hours a week. That need to be delivered. But in addition to that, they need to find time, either within those 40 hours or 50 hours, that how can they build their image for the next job that they are
Mm-hmm.
aspiring for. So if they
Yeah.
are looking for a job that require communication skills or conflict management or working across boundaries, are they working on building that kind of image? And when they do that, then they become more successful.
Mhm. Yeah, looking at the bigger picture. And I love that. We're definitely not replacing performance, just expanding the playbook. And that's quite a relief to anyone worried they have to run or turn into a walking TED Talk to be seen. So let's move over to authenticity, Azar, because not everyone's comfortable shining a spotlight on themselves. Nicole, for instance, in the article struggled with that. How did she find a version of visibility that still felt true to who she is?
I think this is true that people are different,
Yes.
and there are people who very easily are able to talk about themselves and they are not shy about that. But there are people who want to work behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And for them, it is really very, very difficult to, to say that what are they good at. And many times, like in the case of Nicole, she felt discomfort talking
Mhm.
about herself. And she s- find this disgusting. Many of her colleagues who speak, and sometimes they speak nonsense because they just want to say something.
Aha.
So, of course, if you are not comfortable with that, you should not do that. But there are ways in discreet manner that you can bring up your personality, the things that you are good at. So it's all about finding the right way of doing it.
Mhm.
So you get uh, you dislike some of those things, and
Mhm.
many of those things are really bad. If there is no substance and people are just projecting themselves that they have done some fantastic work and they have not, they will be found out and it will not be really successful. So it's really the right combination. And the strategies, you need to find those strategies that work for you. So, for
Yes.
example, in Nicole case, it was her mindset that I don't want to talk about myself because it looks salesy and I don't like it. So once she started realizing that by not telling other people about what she's good at, she's depriving them of her competencies, the value that she can bring, the impact that she can make. When
Mhm.
she started thinking in those terms, and we talked about, we came up with a number of examples. So she was talking about, well, if Apple do not
Yeah.
advertise their product, If we don't know what this can do, we will never use it. So we
Mm-hmm.
need to find a right way of approaching people that what we can do for them. And once you think about in those terms,
Mm-hmm.
then this hesitation goes away. That I'm not projecting myself only for me. I am
Yeah.
projecting it for all those people who will benefit from my competencies, who
Mm-hmm.
will benefit from my contribution. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a breakthrough in her mind when she realized that I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for all others. And
Yeah.
once she did that, she found some other ways as well. But I need not to exaggerate. There are some colleagues who exaggerate. I just need to tell the truth that what
Mm-hmm.
is really happening, what I'm doing, what my team is doing. And sometimes you don't have to talk about yourself. You have to talk about your team's result. And if your team is doing great, that reflect good on you.
Yes, I agree. So there's a discreet way of putting yourself out there, and that's really powerful. Visibility as service, not actually ego. It takes the ego factor out of it and turns it into something more generous and, as you said, through team, even collaborative. So for the executives out there thinking, this sounds great, but visibility still isn't just for me. So what's your best advice to help them get started, Azar?
Well, to begin with, think about it, visibility has a multiplying factor.
Okay.
So all of us want to have bigger impact. If we work on our own, we can create quite an important impact. But if we work with other people and we are able to guide them, we are working with bigger teams and cross-functional teams, we can even have bigger impact. So
Uh-huh.
one thing is about realizing that I can create 10 times, 100 times bigger impact. That can help you to come forward. So even though you are uncomfortable, it's out of your comfort zone, but still you will do it because you know that the impact will be bigger. You being visible will
Mm,
benefit the world. So that one thinking. The other thing is that all other things are skills. These
mm.
are the skills that how you communicate, at what time you speak, how you listen. Uh, some people require more preparation. So there are many other strategies that you can work on that can help you to become more visible.
Yeah.
And once you start doing that, you will find that it's not really that discomforting.
Mm.
You will enjoy.
Yes, and that lands beautifully as our visibility as impact multiplier, not spotlight stealer. And I think a lot of people are walking away from this conversation realizing that it's not just about, being loud or being out there and smarter than anyone else. It's about being clear, intentional, and being seen for the value you already bring.
Right. And sometimes you may realize that there are some other factors, underlying factors, that maybe you are lacking confidence. So even though
Yeah.
you are competent, but you are lacking confidence because of some other reasons. So you
Mhm.
can work with some your mentor, your coach, some colleagues that can help you that what are those underlying factors and how can you overcome that.
Mhm.
So there are variety of ways, but you can excel, you can achieve your goal much faster when you need to find some time and courage to work on your image as well as on the exposure.
Yes. Wow. Thank you for that, Azar. And thank you so much for being here and for sharing your insights. This story, of course, with your signature mix of empathy and strategy, you've taken what can feel like a frustrating topic and turn it into a roadmap for action. Always a pleasure to have you.
Same here, Miles. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And my friends, that's it for this episode of Xraised. If you've ever been the quietly excellent type, maybe today's your moment to raise your voice just enough to make waves. Connect with Azar and his team at Leading Insights through their website at leadinginsights.us. Whether you're climbing the ranks or guiding others to do so, this is the kind of coaching that creates lasting change. Thanks again for tuning in, for growing with us, and for keeping us your go to for real conversations with leaders like Azar. We'll see you again next time. This has been your host, Miles. Stay focused and inspired with X Raised.